Okay, good morning. Today is July 18th, 2026. It is Saturday morning. I'm off today, the whole day to spend. And as I was getting ready to vlog for today, I was thinking about what I could talk about. And then I said, why don't I go and look at the Google reviews for the Bucks County Children and Youth? So I know it's a public agency, and I was actually surprised when I Google Maps that that there were reviews on there. I would have thought that they would have kept them off because they were a public agency, but they allowed them. So I read through them, and I'd like to share some of them that people have posted about CPS, and then well, these people were supposed to protect your kids. Um, so I'll go through a few of them. It says this is from TB about a month ago. Doesn't do anything. We were contacted to care for a young relative after parents' drug use wasn't first placed. It was the sixth. One parent had custody, one didn't. Custodial parents never once contacted us or the child. Drama associated with adults and constant drug use. If you know, you know. Okay. Child has special needs, had nothing. Children and youth provided no services, no care, nothing at all. Unfortunately, because they did not ever contact anyone associated with these parents, other families, others who cared for the child previously. The child is now with these people again. Everyone just waiting for the next issue for this poor child. That was TB. That was about a month ago. Let's read the next one. It says from Samantha R. A month ago, I recently reported my ex for failing to provide medical needs to our son who gashed his head open while in his care. My ex refused to take our son to the hospital because he didn't want to go to the hospital high. Quote, then brought our son home 2 hours later, still bleeding from his head. I ended up taking him to the hospital where they glued him gash. They were unable to stitch it because he had autism and was thrashing and biting. I contacted CPS in New Jersey since I live in New Jersey, and I was told to call CPS in PA. The worker called me a few hours later and went to my ex's house. I also made a police report with the Ben Salem police. Nothing has been done on CPS part. Um, Glasses. Nothing in the CPS part. Them asking me for all the children's info, then going MIA. Okay, so nothing has been done on CPS except for them asking me for all the children's info, then going MIA, missing in action. And I am honestly scared for my children to go back to his house due to him being high while they are in his care. I have informed the courts, but they don't care either. You guys really need to do better. They need to defund the CPS workers because you guys get paid for doing nothing and it's sick. Again, that was Safina R. Posted about a month ago on Bucks County Children and Youth Maps review site or map site. Uh, this is all public information. This isn't nothing that I'm secretly doing. Anybody can find it on their page, but it's a day of doing some review talk. Um, this one says, this is from Gabe R. This was edited a year ago. The intake lady, Maya, left out key information on our case, unfortunately leading to lending to someone being removed from the house despite having 24/7 adult monitoring. She was passive aggressive and unprofessional throughout the entirety of our work with her. Her supervisor was very pleasant, calling out the flaws in information Maya provided and saying that they may have jumped the gun with our child was bawling, being removed from her family. He even came out on his day off to check out our house was suitable for our child to come back, which it clearly without the skew of information that Mia provided. Oh, and they failed to give us majority of paperwork and gave us no updates on her case. Not the worst people except for Maya. Those negligence led to the emotional distress of our whole family and others I know. Hopefully Mia is no longer able to terrorize families in need, and hopefully she knows that she's seen as the devil by her victims. Okay, Gabe, those are your words, not my words, Gabe. Um, okay, Lauren K. This is an update. They did nothing. My niece was living at my house, being neglected by her mother. I contacted Childline in two different CIS offices. They did nothing. Thankfully, the office got a hold of my proof, and I'm truly hoping they're the ones who saved my poor little niece. The signs were all there that she was being starved and she was super dehydrated. Nobody listened. I'm hoping these guys are my answered prayers, because this is much a horrifying real thing that happens. I hope the system doesn't continue to fail that beautiful baby. I'm hopeful the system succeeds with this office. So awful these workers can't help the actual children, like my niece, that need saving. I hope you all help me. I've been advocating for this baby for almost 40 days. Nobody else has. And I'd do anything, absolute anything for my niece to be back there in my home. Here's the original safety plan was my home. Thank you, uh, Lauren, for sharing with us. Um, Here's one from Taylor A. This was about a year ago. I spent 3 years with Bucks County as a foster kid. They didn't do anything to prevent homelessness, teen pregnancy, provide financial literature, or help support the youth aging out. They shack up the females with men and then sign them out as foster care. It's a mess. Interesting concept, Taylor. I appreciate you letting us know how you feel. This one's from Alexandria L. This was 4 years ago. I don't think I've previously read it. So, an overzealous caseworker is destroying my grandson and family. Diane has imposed sanctions on me by threatening my children to take their children away if they allow me to see my grandchildren unsupervised. Diane and her supervisor, Jamie, will not answer my calls. I have gotten no response from either. I have not seen a judge. I have not seen a judge. Diane has held me and my grandson against our will. She has falsified records and refused to allow us a fair trial. I believe this has happened due to an argument I had with Diane where I called her a fat effing liar, in which she is both, in my opinion. My family needs help to save my grandson. Children's Youth Services is unwilling to offer the support to help a 7-year old. Wow. Okay. Um, let's move on. This is from Paula P. This was a year ago. I haven't pre-read it, so I don't know what it says. They claim to help, but don't. I figured since someone was so worried about my children, then they could help provide Pampers. Since I have two in Pampers and recently got out of the hospital, the caseworker kept saying, asking what they can help with. So I said my 7-year old could use some pants. Why they come with adult side pull-ups, two shirts, one PJs, and a hoodie. I will never trust them again, especially when I requested something so minor. They definitely gaslighted me. SMH, he's motto. What his motto was, we get a bad rap, but we are here to help. I feel sorry for anyone that need major help and have to depend on them. Thank you, Paula. I couldn't agree more. Um, this is from Jeanette P. This was 7 years ago. The caseworker never keeps in contact with my daughter, who was accused of child abuse of a stepson. I wrote a letter stating the time she was with me and never alone with the child. Caseworker never read it or called me to ask questions. She never did her job. Called my daughter, told her she could appeal that after almost 2 weeks of hearing nothing. I wonder how many other lives she ruined by not doing her job. I gave her 1 star because it wouldn't let me post until I did. Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you, Jeanette. Jeanette P. I hear you. Uh, I validate your concerns. Uh, from my own personal experience, was from PK 8 years ago. Unfortunately, when you call to report, these are all 1 stars, by the way. Fortunately, when you call to report, it gave information in regards to a child in danger or neglect. They speak to you with little compassion and interest in their part that it seems pointless to call. P, I'm going to read that one more time. Unfortunately, when you call to report to give information in regards to a child in danger or neglected, they speak to you with little compassion and uninterest in their part that it seems pointless to call. At the end of the conversation, you feel horrible and helpless. Perhaps that's why so many children fall through the cracks in Bucks County. PK, interesting perspective. I I I I can see his uh, point. This is from Tiga 841. I don't think I spelled that right, but it's TILG 841. This was 2 years ago. Another 1 star. Lots of hearts and a lot of thumbs up for some of these people. This one says, children and youth have been engaging in gaslighting tactics. I called this morning to speak to the director to tell him I contacted the state representative about legal gaslighting tactics as well as Norristown, Montgomery County children and youth. No parent should have to deal with gaslighting, whether male or female. These people are insane to gaslight you when you call to report gaslighting. It's not taking your concerns as citizens seriously in this country. Shouldn't have to be gaslighting parents as well. Call your state representative office to get gaslighting banned across the country. And I have had got custody of my children as a father years ago. These people are gaslighting veterans from one generation to the next. A lot of gaslighting there. There's a lot of gaslighting. I know the feeling. I've been there. I've made those calls and have been gaslighted too. I totally get it. I sympathize with a lot of these people. This is wow. This is Samantha. This was a year ago. Uh, would think after multiple calls from the same demon saying the same thing they'd catch on every time the accusations were false. They not only wasted my time but theirs. Okay. Uh, let's see what Mark P has to say. This says 2 years ago. and it's a single star. I don't think they've had a 5 star yet. So, then again, I did go for the least to the highest. So, this is an awful rights taker organization I've ever seen. They think they have all the rights and we have none. I'm 60 years old and they called my phone repeatedly until I felt no choice but to answer. And the reason she called was to make sure my girlfriend, who is 61 years old, was okay. Children and youth? Question mark. Bad people. Mark. Children and youth are calling you. This should be the Department of Aging through Bucks County. Is a different agency than Bucks County Children and Youth, which I find really awkward because when I called after my son turned 18 years old, because he was now an adult in their head, I called the Department of Aging to then report the same abuse that I've been reporting on since 2007, hoping that maybe that a department would spearhead what I've been telling them for so long and being, I guess, gaslighted. Um, so I kind of get that. This is from Jessica P. This was a year ago from caseworkers who think the mother of the children are their girlfriends, talking like they are friends on the phone to the supervisors who don't care what the workers do unless they are sued. It's disgraceful that it's okay for kids to be around drugs and neglected and they do nothing about it. That's one sentence. Thank you, Jessica P. I hope your situation works out. Um, okay. This is from Ellen Y. This was from 3 years ago. And she writes, they are unprofessional and sneaky, pulling children out of great homes and moving them around like chess pieces without any regard for the foster families and their families of sacrifice to take care of these children. It took a lot of guts to write that, Ellen. So you are kind of giving us a insight to how the system is done inside that. I hope I've been able to lend some insight based on my own experiences. But yes, moving them around as chess pieces sometimes is a part of the game. A game in which I signed myself up for. I did become a Bucks County foster parent. I had a certification posted on my YouTube channel. Um, so I've been working with Bucks County since 1991 or 92 when I worked for the Bucks County Intermediate Unit for the Homeless Outreach Center in Tree Rose, Pennsylvania. Is when I got my first clearance from the state to work with kids. And I was in Pennsylvania shortly after I moved from New Jersey. So I get to know the system. I've gotten to know the system inside and out. So I know what everybody's saying through these things. Let's see if we got from. Okay, this is short. Uh, Tessa L. from 7 years ago. Too much to type to explain how disgraceful this organization allows children to be mentally abused and allows the agency to be used to harness the other parents. Oh, harass. Excuse me. Sorry, harass the other parents. My bad. That was that was my mistake. Allows the agency to be used to harass other parents. Okay, Tessa. Um, Isabella, a year ago, one line, the establishment provides no resources or support to the their youth. So that's that sounds like a hole in the system. Okay, Michael M. The worst. That was 4 years ago. Kellyanne says, I called to ask, this was 8 years ago, I called to ask a few questions about some children I knew and was curious if they were dealing with some sort of child neglect. I was talking to a Sammy And at first, she kept saying it's parenting, but when I was able to be more in depth, she gave me a number to contact to go further for whenever it's needed. She was pleasant to speak to and very uncomfortable. Patience is key. Thank you, Kellyanne. What does this say? This is from. Nope, not. Uh, in all reasonable fairness, I have to say, here we have a 5 star from Andrea G. Great adoption experience and loving my child before adoption where I fostered. And then a 5 star, a tough job. They deserve so much credit. Okay. And then, so this is what is being talked about on that site. Then we have here, we have one from, there's your 1 star. This was actually today by some guy named Mark E. It says, I called the PA child abuse hotline on my son's mother and gave a fully detailed report. All blanks were filled in, including employers. Long story short, I found out by accident that when my son was 16 months old in 2003, it looks like she attempted to murder our son according to coerced medical records. He lay lifeless on her floor for God knows how long. No 911. He was then being neglected and abused by her in 2007 and beyond. And I told this to them. 24 hours is the callback window. They never called. No investigation. Zero contact. Here's why. The woman is a sworn officer of the Bucks County court system, official full-time court reporter, stenographer for judges' cases. If you went to Bucks Court about your own case, she probably was your court reporter in the room writing about your case. I was expecting an intervention by these people after my call to help him, but they never showed up. It's been 19 years of waiting. Hindsight. Call 911 first for proper legal documentation. Legally, police must report your statement to CPS, which is the child line, child abuse hotline, same place. First, police must report your statement to CPS. Warning, don't call the hotline or CPS first. Call 911 or non-emergency. This is your tax dollars at work. See more at my YouTube at youtube.com at A Father's Heart. Uh, and this is true. These are true statements. The CPS, how it works for the CPS system. I'm glad I was able to make that review today. I think it's very important for parents to know. Um, when we think we're all alone, we're not alone because there's a lot of us that's going on that this system is playing up against, and you can hear that. And these Bucks reviews are just Bucks. If I did a more thorough search, I can search the whole state and gather all of those information and put those together, and then add that into another series about our system and how it doesn't work, and how I've been advocating for changing the system for so long, and I've done so much detailed writing about making the changes that I would love to go to Harrisburg and make that change. I would love to be able to sit in front of those legislators, people, the body of the people that govern this state, and tell them and correct the system, because I've learned the right way and the wrong way, their way and then the right and the other way. So I've been a victim of the system as well, I guess since 2007. But how it works is, so Pennsylvania has this child line hotline phone number that it's a statewide number. So in Pennsylvania, all the calls from east to west, north to south, in Pennsylvania. All those calls go to a central system, and that one system registers all of that data that is entered in by these order takers. I want to make sure that I be very specific. The people that answer the phone at the Child Protective Services, at the hotline where you call to get your child protected, these people are, and this is no offense to them, this is how the state runs it. These people are uneducated. They're not social. Let me back up. They're the they're not social workers. They don't um, know legal. They don't know law. I found this out because I've had a few I've called about, or a few times that I've called, I got to ask some questions and learn about the system. So when I called, I found out that I asked what kind of training you had, what kind of schooling did you have? Are you a social worker? Are you a nurse? Are you a doctor? Are you, what is your specialty? And out of the handful I've spoken to, they're not trained. So when you think you're calling and you're talking to somebody, they're just going to mirror what you're saying. They're going to fill out the form, name, address, social security number, phone number, work address, work phone number, work home address, um, and then they're going to do the same thing for the other person: social security number, address, work phone number, cell phone number, email address, and the same thing for the child. So when it's one parent against the other, they take all that information, or whomever those custodial parents may be. So they're just taking that information and they're just putting it in the system. Now, once they get all of the information, like I said, I gave them all of that data, so that they knew in the beginning that she worked for Bucks County Judicial Center, and that was their tip. That was their lead. They got it. They got a lead. Bucks County had a heads up or a head start. Once they click submit, it goes to regional center. It goes from Harrisburg to half the state to a quarter state to Bucks County. So it hits, according to what they've said, from my research that I've done on the CPS system um, and how it works, it goes from Harrisburg regional area and then Bucks County. Then it hits the desk of the director. I believe it at the time when I was dealing with this was Marge McEwen from Bucks County Children and Youth, who told me flat out that, Mr. Edel, we never got a phone call from you in 2007, who told me to my face or over the phone that my call was never received. Which really begs the question, Marge, who's lying? Because I know when I picked up the receiver and I made a phone call and I gave them three people's names, full names, three people's addresses, three people's social security numbers, three people's work phone number or school and or work, and all that data, and then the collaborating details that were on the paper, plus all of the other stuff. When I gave it to them, who did I give that to, Marge? Who did I give that to? I think we need to investigate who that data of all of our private, personal, sensitive information went to, Marge. She's telling me that the child line is incompetent. Okay, Marge, you can say that, but I know the latter. Why didn't it get to you? Hey, listen, I know that I put down Bucks County Judicial Center as her employer, and I know that the people who's calling, supposed to be calling me, telling me that we're going to handle this, never called back. It's the same people that she works for. So forgive me for trying to or being so polite about the way I handled my phone call to Marge, the head of the then head, I guess, of Bucks County Children and Youth, under the direction of County Commissioner Diane Marseglias, who spearheaded the cover up, visiting me at my Perkins in Doylestown, giving me her business card and offering any help that she could possibly give to me, and then turning every opportunity down ever since. And I have that in writing. So, um, if you do a Google review, I suggest to be honest, keep it real. This is my first review. This was my first public sharing of this stuff. I've been keeping all of my data on the YouTube channel. I've not been posting on other sites about this. I've been trying to just keep it here in this home for now. I'm trying not to. I don't want people to know about what happened to my son. I don't want people to hear about what Bucks County allowed to happen under their care. The fact that the DA never called back when I made that phone call, the fact that my report went missing is very disheartening. It's telling me that we shouldn't really put our faith and trust into the system at hand. They really aren't. You have got to really be your best advocate in a situation like this. If you're dealing with issues in the nature, if you're being a victim like it was for me, it's good to keep very detailed notes like I have done in the event that something, nefarious does keep happening. So the beauty of my situation is that the phone call that I never got back was very deafening and it hurt a lot in my ear. I mean, it just screamed. It said, it was a lot of saying, you're on this on your own. You're going to have to do this on your own. We're not stepping in. We don't want to get involved. We don't have to do that. But clearly, here's the rationale behind moving forward. When they didn't want to get involved, they had every legal right to call Philly, to call Montgomery County, to call Butler, to call Chester, to call any other county in the Commonwealth who had taken the case that I had called about. And that was their legal responsibility to do. If they didn't want that call, it would have been the right thing to do, have taken the call and said, okay, Butler, Allegheny, what other counties are there? Sullivan, Bradford, you take the case because this woman works for us and we can't have this on our conscience. But they said, no, we're going to handle it on our own. And when they didn't call back, they said, Joshua, you're on your own. We're not going to be here to help you. We're not going to help your dad. Um, we don't care how long you were out for on the floor before you woke up again. But you're up now. That's all that matters, right? That's all that the big thing is, Josh. After 19 years, you're off the floor now. And Joshua, we're going to wish you luck. I mean, you're going through a lot of emotional things that you reported on and you need the help with. But you know what? We're not going to help you because this woman, your mom, it's not your fault, Josh. It really is not your fault. But your mom works for us, so we have to protect her because we know she's mentally unstable. So it's going to make us look bad if we put it in the headlines. A court reporter gets arrested for attempted murder, and she's worked for the courts for so long, 25 years or so. It'll look bad. Well, this was 19 years ago, but it would have been a short time if they had done their investigation in 2007 and let her go and then filed the charges and done things, or investigated. But they chose not to, or let another county. They were very selfish. Bucks County is very selfish, and they're very prideful, and they're very, they think that they are above the law. And there was a famous lawyer, I think it was in the O.J. Simpson case, that somebody that when I was in jail told me that which is the worst, you've been around as a lawyer, and he said, what is the worst county in all the country that you've been to, that you've worked with, and from state to, from east to west, north to south, what's the worst county you've ever had to work with? And this famous lawyer, I want to say, it's like an initial name. Um, it might have been for the O.J. Simpson case, but he turns to the reporter and he says, "There's this little county up in Pennsylvania called Bucks County," and he said that one was the worst. And I'm finding this out while I'm being detained on their charges. But my point is that be aware, be smart about how you handle yourself in all of these things. I have had the opportunity to hold my tongue, and this is really how I talk to them when I made the phone call. I talk in this monotone voice when I'm giving reports of an important nature. I try to keep my emotions out, and I try to stick to just the facts. I don't like them. I don't embellish. I like to stick to the truth. That's one thing this whole entire thing has taught me, is that being honest, being truthful, but saying it in the most polite way and going to them in the most polite way. Um, that's exactly the way I've gone to them for the past 19 years, and nothing from them. And this is the same. How I'm talking right now is the same exact way I go to them when I've made every report um, all the years. But the deafening part is that not a single answer back. Imagine asking 25 years worth of questions or 19 years worth of questions, excuse me, 19 years worth of questions and not getting an answer from the people whose job it is to provide the answers and to uphold the law on your behalf, on our behalf. So Bucks County is really, um, I kid you not, I've given them every single opportunity to come out and to investigate, giving them offering state's evidence, offering to turn over all of my data, all of my information. I've offered statements. I've written to them and told them, I'm here to help you. I believe it's in our best interest if we both can help my son. And they say no, no, no. They have no interest in helping him, and that's all. That's what I've been going through even after he turned 18. Listen, I've been going about this, for the first, 8 years trying to get back into my son's life, and nothing's helping. But here's why. And then all of this, there's been a rapid fire of no conversations with me from them to help the issue at hand, and that is getting him. So if he has an aneurysm and dies, he knows better. He can get the help he needs. And if he gets an MRI and finds out that his skull is badly bruised and he's in danger of an embolism, aneurysm, or any other kind of brain issues, that he has a right to know your status. So that was the issue at hand. I've been told by Chief Kelly, no, we're not going to give him an MRI. We're not going to do it. When I asked the DA, they said no. They didn't say no. They didn't answer me back when I asked them to. So imagine all the people that I've spoken to over the years compared to most people just calling CPS, and that being done. I have talked to everybody from top of the Bucks County down to the lower, every agency, because telling me no, you're not going to call, telling me you're not going to investigate, that may sit well with you. You may think I walked away. You may think I'm going to lie, bend over and lay dead, but now, here's my story. So, to the best of Google views on this day, I hope I'm here as a resource if people have issues with the Bucks County system. If you have questions about how the system works, or if you have tried and tried and tried and gotten a dead end after dead end after dead end, if I could be a resource to people, if don't share my information. I don't want this to go viral. I don't want anybody to see this. Um, I don't want any of that stuff. I just want my son to be dealt with appropriately. Um, After calling for it for so long, and let my review be with the other people who have reviewed Bucks County children and youth. Let mine now sink in with those, and going forward, other people are going to be able to see what I had to say, know how to contact me, know how to, use me as a resource. I'm happy to do so. Um, and I'm happy to someday hopefully pass Josh's Law, which I wrote about 10 years ago, to add to the Pennsylvania um, laws for parenting and for custody issues. So it's named Josh's Law because of the nefariousness that has happened out of this county to protect him. Putting up red flags when it has to deal with people internally who work within the county that's supposed to be the protecting and serving and keeping us all safe. They're not used to having somebody on the inside who is abusing, so they have to keep it quiet. So we need more of a transparent system, whether it be internal affairs in Bucks or something Bucks County has no internal affairs. They have nobody to keeping these cops and these people in check. They are free to do what they want. I know this from fact because I went there in person the day after I was talked. The cop harassed me and threatened me and kicked me out of Pennsylvania. I went the next day to the Bucks County Courthouse to go to talk to Internal Affairs, which I was instead given to ADA Caitlin Dryden, who wrote down her name on a card that's posted online and told me how I can get a hold of her for future issues when I told her that the cop was out there harassing and abusing me, and they did nothing. So, you know, let's let's just start calling things for what they are. Bucks County's got to come. They got to come clean, not just on my case, but it seems like so many other people's cases out there. And it's about high time that we start changing and modifying some of these things. I'm going to stand up for those parents. I'll stand up with those parents for doing the right thing and getting told no. I will stand with them because I empathize, because I know that I've been able to harness this bad negativity that they have done, and I have looked at it as a consultant and said, listen, this is what we need to do to fix it, and that's where I'm at today. I'm at the point where, listen, if Harrisburg said, hey, Mr. Edel, we want to talk to you about some of your ideas, guess what? I already have them already written. Let's fix this country. Let's fix this state. Let's stop all this hiding thing. Let's stop pretending. Stop pretending we have these agencies out to protect us when I'm not the only Google reviewer, but others have said they don't do anything. So what do they think? Who made them in charge of doing nothing? That's not right. There should have been accountability for my case. Somebody should have jumped in. Somebody higher up. Somebody should have jumped into my case and said, no, 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 no. We're going to investigate it. We're giving it to Bucks County. We're giving it to another county. We're doing it here. They said no. How dare they tell my son? No. But that's what they did. So I can sit here today and hopefully start something that changes this mentality of they are the overseers of all of our moral, legal, judicial things. They can't say that there's moral conflict of interest when they protect their own. This goes against all of their oaths of office. They're called to support and defend the Constitution and protect and serve and all these different things. They all take oaths. Everybody in the county takes oaths. But guess what? They also know that they're doing wrong. They know they did wrong. And this is not peppermint. I am not Shooter. I am not going all postal on any that is. I would rather stand in front of this country and tell them that we're going to make it better for the children who deserve it, not the parent, the child. Child only. So I've written down steps on things that we need to look at as to detail that I've had the opportunity, because I've so much time with this, to actually outline a whole perspective of what we can do to make it better, including Josh's law on top of that. So I've written a couple pages worth of laws that I'd love to see given into the system and made into law, Josh's law, for these custody issues that I've gone through that were neglected. I also want to put in more things, triggers, to help the system navigate through medical issues or school issues or things like that. The things that FDIA does not trigger. Being that I have spent so much time with it, I've seen the triggers that could have been red flags to all of these different organizations, and I'm bringing this to their attention, and they say, no, it's not because of me, it's because of them not wanting to look at. But I've been able to, I guess, as a consultant, I like to fix things. So as I'm in it writing about it, and then I'm also trying to come up with the ideas and brainstorm to work on protecting my son or protecting the next child. And that's what this is all about. This isn't about it. This is about the next group. This is about the next. It's going to be harder for the next crowd. They're all going to be on their computers and not know how to worry about the world or their lives or things like that. It's all going to be done for them electronically. So, anyways, I digress. It's all about Google's thing today. So, you get a chance, uh, make a Google uh, inquiry, look at some of the things that everybody else is going through. I'd like to be able to post resources for people. I have talked to the fictitious disease imposed on the other awareness hotline. I've talked to different organizations about it, different doctors, different agencies about some of my work and the details in the medical notes and the actual notes itself. So it's good to keep good records. Um, I can't slam the system 100%. Um, the state is given certain guidelines to follow. Um, if they're not following them right or they're not doing something right, well then, I'm all for making it better. Especially in my case, hearing all those other cases as well, it's a little bit hard. It hurts my heart. We're supposed to be better than this. We're supposed to be making this better for our kids and helping them be more educated and smart and intelligent. But it seems like we're going the opposite way, making them less than that, um, having to listen to your police tell you to leave and never come back. This is my God-fearing right. You can't tell me, Mr. Policeman, to leave the state because you tell me to. That's not how this works. Don't threaten me, bro. You have no right. So, the Commonwealth wants me out. Guess what? Here I am. You don't want to talk? I'll talk. Post your Google review today. Let them know how much of a wonderful job they're doing. And let them know that you go to Bucks County next time and she's sitting there in front of hearing about your case, tell her you said hi. Tell her you said, hey, listen, I read the things about your son. Fantastic. Love it. You did such a great job. She compliment her. She did such a wonderful job hiding so much for so long. She should be a magician. She needs a round of applause. She did such a great job. And that's where it should lay. So go into Bucks County soon. See your local court reporter. Tell her you said hi. Tell her you say God loves her. He forgives you. Be blessed and have a peaceable life. But don't forget to do your Google review today. Thank you.